I met a man the other day that really likes vintage cars and antique things. His name's Bobby Dixon. Bobby lives in Dalton, Georgia. He's always liked vintage cars and antique things like that. Well, about 18 years ago, Dixon decided he wanted to buy his first and only pedal car. Well, he found what he wanted from a collector over in Alabama. And remember now, he just wanted to buy one.
I went down to look at it and I went up buying 3 cars from him. So instead of my first one was 3. And I still wasn't thinking I was going to get it this big, but going to antique stores, flea markets, and just started picking one up here, picking up one up there, and finally just, you know, started getting quite a few, wanted to start restoring them, started doing some research, just kind of took off from there.
And now you have how many, you think?
I'm closing in on probably 300.
From 3 to 300?
Yeah.
How do you find out the value of one?
Well, the pedal cars, you know, anything collectible, there's not really a book or a guide that will give you precise value information. I mean, it's kind of basically it's worth what someone will give you. I mean, I've been to auctions where one auction, this car might bring $500. A couple months later, another auction, the same car could bring half or double. So, I mean, there's kind of a ballpark. I know other collectors from California, Indiana, New Jersey, Florida. So, I mean, a particular car, I know that it would definitely be worth, say, $500. So, but you know, there's no real guidebook that will just pinpoint any, you know, condition means a lot, originality means a lot.
Is there any way to tell the age?
Yeah, you can buy, there's books, pedal car books you can buy, and it's basically reprinted catalogs from years back. So there's no serial numbers to actually say this is a 1941. Because the pedal car manufacturers, if they had a model that sold well, and they made it in 41 and it did well. Well, they'd make the same car in 42 if it did well for several years. Well, in the hobby, we'll call that car a 1941 Chrysler, but it possibly could have been made in 45 or 46 or 43. So there's no way of actually identifying the exact year, but we just kind of, because most of these cars are modeled and made after, you know, the real cars of the day.
What about the one that's on the wrecker up there? Now, is that one still to be repaired, or?
Yeah, that car is repairable. It's been up a little bit, but the main problem, you know, you can fix the bends, but if when you have really bad rot, you know, if something is just, say that whole back corner of that car was rusted away,
yeah,
that'd be really involved fabricating and trying to replicate. It's got like a built-in tail light there and the fender detail. That'd be a lot of work. So if that whole back end was kind of rusted out, you probably wouldn't want to tackle it on that particular car.
Do you plan on tackling that one someday?
Well, I just turned 48, so I've got so many projects now. I don't know. It's probably doubtful.
And I noticed some wooden ones. They're with real wood?
Yeah, well, the first pedal cars actually came about in the late 1800s, just same time when the cars came about. Well, if you think about them old cars, horseless carriage kind of thing, they look more like a buggy. So the first ones were actually made out of all wood with the big spoke steel wheels, and you know, they didn't pedal really well. But then later on, again, they fashioned these vehicles after the cars of the day, and these are all fashioned after Fords. This is a 40 Ford, a 38 Ford, a 34 Ford, and a 39 Ford.
Do you have a favorite?
I kind of like the 2 cars over here, the orange and tan, and the white and burgundy. Those are Airflows. They're modeled after the old DeSoto and Chrysler Airflow cars of the day,
yeah,
1934 to 1936. I kind of like the Airflows. I've always kind of liked, you know, the different stuff, something odd.
Sure.
And those are just kind of, you know, the Airflows were never really popular. And now street riders are kind of doing stuff with the real cars because they're different.
What's the most expensive one you've either ever seen or sold or dealt with?
I was at a show a few years back, and a real nice original 1920s American National, which American National company, I've got a couple here you can see, were bigger and more detailed and more expensive. So they didn't sell a whole lot of them. You know, if a kid got it, it's probably a rich kid. I saw one of those, a real nice original, some years back, bring $60,000.
Is this a hobby?
My wife says it's an obsession.